Okay, so welcome along to the Sega Does podcast, episode 48. I am Sam the Pixel Dude, and joining me, virtually to my left, as always, we have Dylan Cornelius. How are we doing, Dylan?
Doing well. Ready to disagree on some of these games, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd ask you to check your stride, because it's time to talk about Strider.
Strider.
Mm-hmm.
Strider.
Now, Strider's an interesting game. Strider. Right. This is one of those games. Just humour me for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Tell you down a little story about Sam. Okay. Sam likes games. Sam's always liked games. Sam got into game history about 12, 13 years ago. And he started listening to things about all the stuff people played in America, like this weird thing called the NES. What's that? Oh, no, it's like my Super Nintendo, but worse. And, all these titles started coming up that I'd never heard of before, like Castlevania and Mega Man and all these kind of things like that. And then I started looking at like Sega CD stuff. I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that. Oh, it was really popular and all. And during my exploration of old video games, there was one title that kept popping up that I'd never tried. And that title was Strider.
Okay.
So Strider always was talked about with this like awesome reverence. Like, oh yeah, but it's not like Strider. It's like, oh yeah, but Strider did this. And oh yeah, but in Strider it worked better. And all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I never got round to doing it. And I ticked off the list. I ticked off the Mega Mans, the Castlevanias, the Metroids, and all this kind of thing. Even the weird stuff like weird, obscure Japanese titles and all this kind of stuff. But I never got round to playing Strider. And apparently, like the main Strider, the good Strider, is the Genesis Strider. Apparently. Okay, I believe there was an NES version. Am I right?
That is correct, and it is cherished by some, but I couldn't figure out how to wall jump.
Yeah,
and that ruined the game because you need to wall jump. So
yes,
that was my feelings with it.
So we get to this past week, and Strider appears on the document that me and Dylan use, and I'm like, okay, here we go. Let's see what this Strider's about. And I ain't got a clue. I had a rough clue it had something to do with a sword and a lot of jumping. And
yeah,
that's kind of it. So I start playing Strider. And I am wondering what all the effing fuss is about, because this game is one of the... Where's me notes? One of the glitchiest, strangest, unresponsive pieces of crap I've ever played in my life. It is terrible. It is just... It doesn't know where it wants to be. It doesn't know what sounds it wants to make. It changes, like, it just glitches out on you sometimes and throws you. It's just, I don't get it. I don't understand the fascination with the game. I mean, the guy's got a big sword, which he uses so fast you never see, which I just thought weird for a start. I want to know also, don't let me forget to talk about sound effects, because I didn't seem to hear any. I don't know if that's a weird glitch on the Genesis version, or if it was just something was wrong with my system. I didn't quite understand that. It tries to do all these clever things. Now, it's a side-scrolling, like, ninja exploration kind of Metroid, kind of not platform action game, where you can, as Dylan said, wall jump and slide down, like, ropes, and do some quite, I would imagine, acrobatic platforming for the time. It basically wants you to feel like a space ninja. It's kind of what it's going for.
That's a good way to put it.
But man, it is just so stuttery and glitchy. It is trying to do so much, and it can't get out of its own way. I don't understand how you even get anywhere in this game. It's crazy.
I've noticed in re-listening to some of our earlier episodes that there was one in particular that I listened to, and I can't remember what game we were talking about. but you mentioned it was a Master System game, and you were like, you really honed in on the flicker on the game because it was weird to see flicker in a Master System game.
Yeah.
Compared to the NES, which that was just so common. And I remember commenting that to me, growing up with the NES, flicker was a way of life. Like, I didn't even really notice it anymore. So I have two theories on what you're saying.
Okay.
One is your copy of the game is messed up because I do not remember flicker on this game at all.
Really?
No. That being said, or the other option is I don't remember flicker on this game because I'm super used to flicker and I am not very sensitive to it. Like, it has to be really bad.
Right.
Like, it essentially has to break the game.
Okay.
And clearly it didn't break the game for me. And as you will see on SegaDoes.com, I gave this bad boy an A.
Yeah.
This game is a summer blockbuster. That's what this game is. It is a summer blockbuster on the Genesis.
Hope it's not Barbie.
Especially for 1990. This is pre-Sonic. We're still in the age of arcade action games that are super hard, and each level is supposed to just bring like outlandish set pieces that just maybe they don't make sense, but it's just like, what? All of a sudden a mechanical gorilla is coming toward you. Oh, now you're like upside down in this gravity ball thing, and it's to me, I didn't care that it was all over the place because I thought that was kind of the point.
That, though? Do you admit that? Because I've just come across one of. No, I mean, like, technically, I'm just looking at one of your screenshots now where there's a cyborg panther that's floating in midair.
Oh, I have to see it. Hold on. Cyborg Panther.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. Look.
Yeah, I don't even know what that's about. I don't know. I don't remember that.
That's Strider. It's all over the place.
I guess. Apparently, it didn't bother me. I just
apparently
it didn't bother me. I loved the movement of Strider. I liked it. I thought it worked. I thought the game. And I'm not surprised that you have issues with it. I am surprised that you hate it as much as you do.
Oh, man.
Because to me, it is one of those quintessential late 80s, early 90s, throw everything at the wall and see what happens. And unlike, say, I always get them confused, Ghouls and Ghosts and Goblins, that series that just punishes you.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like this game didn't do that quite as hard. It is hard. It is very hard. But it is... I guess I couldn't disagree more. I just feel like he controls... He's just so elegant.
No, the frame rate was awful.
You don't want to play the Master System version, then?
I didn't play the Master System version. I will admit, I did not.
That's okay.
I wonder if there was something wrong with mine, because I expected this to be like Ninja Gaiden on acid.
I wonder. Here's what you should do if you have the time and/or desire.
Right.
You should play the game again, or at least try, and then for like a few minutes, and then go on YouTube and just compare it and see if it's like, watch a video and just see is this actually what, you know? That would be my recommendation.
Well, we do have the power, so let's carry on, and I'll see if
Okay.
what I'm talking about is really there. But also the sound. I mean, did the sound thing... I mean, I didn't seem to get any sound effects from the guy, and then occasionally there was nothing.
Yeah, again, I've read through my review again, and I didn't mention anything about the sound as far as it not working or having any issues. So it is strange, man. I mean, usually we don't disagree.
Oh wow,
this
no,
hard.
it did not look like that.
Okay, so perhaps it is your copy then. That's.
Oh, maybe no. See, another problem I had with the game is
okay.
Oh yeah, man, that's glitchy as hell. Yeah, no, I'm right. The other problem I had was the screen real estate. The guy's, whatever his name is, Mr. Stride, he's too big.
Oh, he's big. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big boy, and he wants to do all his acrobatic stuff. But by the time he's done his acrobatics, like, and where you want him to go, like, you can't put him where you want him to because he runs out of room.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just I think it's just not for you. I mean,
I think it isn't. No,
it's just not for you,
Strider.
And it's a shame because it is. I mean, this is one of the last big Mega Drive titles for a while, so it is a shame that yeah. not to say that there aren't other decent games that came out for the Mega Drive, but we will be swimming in shoot 'em ups for a while.
Oh, lovely.
And this is not a shoot 'em up.
Lovely.
And
I might try it again. just for a change.
Yeah.
Okay. I might have to try it again. I just my notes are just like no. It's just like, yeah. I really would. Obviously, I'm not doing it because I'm recording now. I'm going to watch a few YouTube videos, but with the sound on, and I want to see if these sound glitches. I mean, maybe I got a bad copy.
Sure.
So yeah. So yeah. I've got ledge hanging is cool because the ledge hanging was cool. But I've just got glitchy and runs like crap. I mean, I hope I'm wrong because I was really like, it's like, oh, it's Strider. Finally, get to tick off Strider, and then it's like, oh no, not Strider.
Well, something. Let me ask you this. This might be a bit of a rant, but I think it's a question that's worth asking, especially in light of Strider. Do you feel that maybe within the past 5-ish years or so, that most 8 to 16-bit games just don't really satisfy anymore?
Yeah.
I'm finding that too. Even as I'm going through these games, right? Like, I mean, I'm doing this silly quest thing, and even in doing that, I'm like, would I rate this an A in 2023? I don't know. I'm not saying I would rate it as low as you, but I'm also not saying I would rate it this high. And it's like, why did I rate it this high? I don't know. I can't go back in time and uncover my motives, but
yeah,
I did enjoy it. I mean, I remember really enjoying it. I remember thinking it was really fun. So I know I wasn't being disingenuous or dishonest or whatever, but
no.
But there is something within the last few years, and I think, you know what's really helped this is Nintendo Switch Online, bringing all those games and playing them and going, I just don't really like a lot of this stuff anymore. And it kind of breaks my heart, honestly, a little bit. Not like really, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of sad. It's like, this was my childhood, but I can't deny that it just doesn't really hold up. It just doesn't. So... thoughts on that?
I agree with that. I think it's like a second revision sort of thing. So if you think of this concept we're talking about in 3 stages, you have stage 1, which is childhood, where everything's amazing because it's brand new and you've got nothing else. You've got stage 2, where you revisit it for the first time, and it's this is like, I can tolerate this. The back of my mind can put out the way that it's kind of crap, but because I'm playing old games again, yay. And then there's the third revision where you come back to it like 5 or 6 years later, and it's like, okay, the I haven't played this in my adult life isn't there anymore, and you can actually look at it in kind of a more critical way, and it's like, this isn't actually all that. Now there are certain obviously standouts, like most first party Nintendo stuff and stuff like that will always be fine, and other stuff like the Capcoms of the world and bits like that. But yeah, I just I will revisit this. I have had a problem. I think it was a problem. There is something that's happening with my setup where I am playing all these on original hardware, people. I will say that I am. But I don't know if I'm running Genesis ROMs through a PAL system works all the time.
Oh.
I think that might be the problem. But I want to, because sometimes it works fine. It does depend on the code of the games, apparently, because some work fine if you can bypass it. But others, I think, have a problem going down from the 60 to 50 hertz thing.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what happened here. It was getting a bit overclocked or underclocked or something like that. We will see.
That would make a lot of sense. Actually.
It would now we've sat and thought about it. It would. But I was actually, at the time, I was quite enjoying writing swear words on my notepaper. Yeah.
I also just want to say, just to clarify, because I essentially just destroyed our credibility in a way of like, yeah, do we even like these games anymore? No, not really. That's not. We're trying to be objective here with some of this stuff, right?
Yeah,
it's
not all
it's
good.
like, was this okay for the time? This was amazing for 1990.
Oh, I can see that for sure. Even in its jagged
care.
state, it was like, wow, this is different. You know, it is.
Right.
It is Ninja Gaiden on acid. It's pretty. It's,
yes.
You know, you're hanging off walls. You're doing double jumps off walls, and then hanging on something, flicking backwards and slashing things. This is a Sam-ass game. This should be Sam Street, but it just didn't. It just didn't want to work.
Yeah, and so I think it's important to note that, you know, even though I made that argument, I stand by that argument that I made, that it's been hard revisiting games, 8 and 16-bit particularly, within the last 5 years especially. But that doesn't mean that I don't try to find good within them. And now sometimes there is none to be found. That's just the way it is. But most of the time, I can get into that space where, okay, I see what they were going for, and what was the time frame? Oh shoot, 90?
Yeah,
wow. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you have to take that into account, because, you know, friends, we're all getting up there, you know, and there's just the longer we live, the more time there is between these games that when they first came out, and it's just oh, okay, this doesn't work.
Yeah, so that's Strider, which we talked about quite intensively. The next game, I'm going to say 2 words. It's Columns.
But it is 8-bit columns.
Yeah.
8-bit columns.
Great.
The gem sprites are smaller. They look kind of puny, actually.
Yeah.
Kind of really bad. But
it's not
one
good.
thing I like about this version is it's not as difficult as the Genesis version.
No, it couldn't handle it, could it? The poor old Master System. It was like, I can't
Crazy.
do difficulty as well. It's I just don't like Columns.
I don't either.
I miss Clacks.
You miss Clacks?
I miss Clacks. Columns isn't very 90s.
We'll get through Clacks. I think we got the Master System and Game Gear versions of those.
Oh yay!
So
more Clacks.
So it will be the 90s again, my friend. Just hang on there. Yeah.
Oh, please. I miss it. Yeah, it's Columns, people. Everyone knows what Columns is, but it's 8-bit. Great. Okay, moving on. We have... Now, this game I didn't actually play, so you're going to have to talk a little bit about this.
I'm sad about that. I understand why, but I'm sad. The reason I'm sad... Go ahead.
We have... Awesome name. Cyber Police eSWAT on the Master System in 1990. This should be like some sort of Jean-Claude Van Damme tie-in, shouldn't it? Like, oh look, they're trying to copy RoboCop, but they're doing it with Van Damme in 1990.
Yeah.
This is a side-scrolling shooter by the looks of it. Looks pretty cool. It's on a Master System. Even on a Master System, it looks pretty cool. Looks like you arrest people. Looks kind of like a RoboCop knockoff. What are we talking about here, Dylan?
It is. It's RoboCop, and sometimes you play as a human, and sometimes you play as the RoboCop in question. Yeah, I think it's like it's like the Genesis version,
Yes.
which was also called eSWAP. This is a completely different.
It's completely
game.
different, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't like
and
the
so
Genesis one, if I remember
yeah,
right.
I know. That's why. Okay, that's why I was like hoping you'd play this one, because I was like, maybe he liked this one. You know, I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit more surreal and cartoonish here. Obviously, probably just because of the limitations of the Master System.
It looks, though, in terms of looks, it looks like NES-esque,
It does.
if you know what I mean, even colour
I do.
palette-wise. And it has that certain Master System games technically looked better, but there's a little bit of detail that they didn't quite have compared to NES games. I'm thinking of Ninja Gaidens, Mega Mans, things like that, Contras. There's just a little bit of detail that the Master System didn't have. This, if you just show me this, I'd say NES game, because even
Right.
the sprite proportions, how the levels laid out, it's not 3D, but it's got a slight skew on it. How they've done the shadowing, where even things like where the UI is very NES, and yeah, it looks good. I'm hoping it's good.
No,
No,
it's
D.
not. It's not good. It's playable. It reminds me of, even though this is 1990, it really reminds me of mid 80s beat 'em ups.
Yes.
Because
Double Dragon.
it's just one or two enemies at a time. You shoot them.
Dragon Wang.
That's it. Dragon Wang. Exactly.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Kid. It's they're just. It's not bad, but in 1990, the year of Strider, right?
Okay.
The year of Strider.
Okay, right.
Yeah. It's just, and it's funny you mentioned NES, because in the review I referenced that the graphics are some of the worst I've seen on the system.
Oh.
And it looks like an unlicensed NES game, and it does. It looks like a Color Dreams game or something like that.
I thought it looked pretty good. Maybe in movement it's actually a piece of crap, but
yeah, it's. I applaud Sega for essentially making the same game 3 times, just slightly different. So the arcade eSWAT is different than the Genesis version, which is different than the Master System version. Good on you, Sega.
they made so many games.
They did.
So many games.
I'm guessing 4 or 5 people. They just had 3 to 5 people making each of these ports, and they were made very quickly. That would be my guess. I don't know. They just had to, I guess. Again, I guess. I'm guessing a lot.
Just a big guess.
Once Parrish comes out with his Master System books, I guess we'll look at those. But
Yeah.
I'm not doing that kind of historical documentation.
No.
But it's really fascinating to me that Sega just pumped these games out, especially for SG and the Master System. They didn't stop.
Conveyor belt.
eSWAT, not very good. Sam, why don't you read a couple comments here?
I'm going to read a couple of comments here. What do we got here? We got GH, good review. I didn't think of much of this when I played it. I didn't realise Sega had farmed the port out. I'd also never realised how bad the graphics were. See, this makes me sound like an idiot, but honestly, in screenshots, I think it was pretty good. Comparisons to an unlicensed NES is spot on. Wow, Dylan, your memory is amazing. What else we got here? Johnny C. 2 N's. He's just showing off. You're going to pull up in a Dodge Viper in a minute and go, look how 90s I am with your 2 N's. Right, Johnny C. I loaned this game, again, very 90s Johnny C, well done, from a friend in 91/92 because I was obsessed with playing someone else's Mega Drive version of eSport. I can see where this is going.
Your favorite game?
Yeah. And as I only had a Master System at the time, this was the closest I was going to get to on my console. Although I found it moderately enjoyable, I always saw it as much less satisfying compared to the 16-bit version. I agree there. Tony Wilkins says, I brought this about 3 months ago. This was in 2016, people. I think there is some enjoyment to be had, although it has its flaws. That stage 3 boss is a bleep fest if you haven't powered up enough to knock it out. I think D is fair. So yeah, it sounds like you got it pretty spot on. Doesn't sound like I missed much, but it's as 90s as hell, which is pretty cool.
I'd say, given that you didn't like the Genesis version, and if you're able to play this one, you should check it out. If not, you're not gonna lose any sleep. That's for sure.
Checking out a game is something you should not do with this next title, because I have a very extensive neon 3 decades long obsession with the world of F1. I have watched every single race live since 1996, and this is by far the worst Formula 1 game I have ever played in my life. And we are talking.
Take it away.
We are talking about Super Monaco GP, but on the Master System. This is not a driving game. This is a let's try and wind people up with probably, well, definitely at the time, and probably even now in the right circles, one of the premier historical names in arcade racing, Super Monaco GP. And with a Genesis port, which I didn't really enjoy, but I can kind of see why people will get into it in the 90s, this had a lot to live up to. Now, again, this is one of the titles where we just go, why, Sega? Why? Why did you have to put Afterburner on the Master System? Why did you have to put, Space Harrier on the Master? You didn't have to do this. It didn't have to be this way.
No.
And what this game does for a Formula 1 fan who didn't look at any reviews or anything is it, in the first 5 minutes, it gets you excited. Do you want to know why?
Yes.
Because it gives you options. Options that had never existed in a Formula 1 game before. It asks you what kind of tyres you want to use, what kind of engine you want to use, what kind of setup you want, what kind of rear wing setup you want to use, what kind of track you want to do. Do you want to do a practice run? Do you want to try qualifying? It's like, oh my god, it's a Formula 1 simulator on my Master System. This is awesome. And then it goes, okay, let's go No, you're not going to drive, because that's the wrong word for it. You're going to struggle around a 2 pixel high freaking screen in a grey strip that is impossible to navigate, with no throttle control.
Right.
It is just unbelievable. The only cool thing about this game is it has a Mega Drive advert on the side of the road. It's like you're driving past and going, I bet you wish you was driving a Mega Drive version, don't you? As it goes past you. Yes, I do. I really do. Even though I didn't enjoy it, I wish I was playing the Mega Drive version, because this game is hot garbage. It is terrible. Please tell me you agree.
It's ploppers, man. It is I agree. I love how you worded it. Like, it gives you the illusion. Well, it's not the illusion. It gives you all these options.
Yeah.
And I would also argue the game doesn't look that bad at all. Like the
yeah, all right, okay, maybe
the sprites are detailed. Okay?
It does the really annoying thing that 2-player split screen games did.
Oh, I hate that. Yes.
Where it's always in split screen. I mean, the most famous example is Mario Kart. But at least in Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart, people for the Super Nintendo, it put the map at the bottom. I can't remember the bottom or the top.
Right.
Whilst you were not using 2 players, there were tons of games that did this. It was obviously a hardware limitation, blah blah blah, whatever. But this doesn't. It's just like, you're not using that screen. Well, we'll just leave it there.
Right.
Leave it there.
Yep.
Why not? Yes, doesn't look bad, but my god, the control is just...
Oh, they're awful.
Oh.
Yeah, no, you can't. To me, this game is unplayable. It's unplayable.
It is unplayable.
Yeah.
It is unplayable.
It's not, There's nothing outside of the... I think what I was going for originally was the illusion of this is going to be a good game. Like you said, it really builds you up, and then it just dashes your hopes tremendously.
And then they put it on Game Gear.
They did. They put it on Game Gear, but it's a little different.
It's not quite the S show, if I'm honest. They don't
Right.
quite go into it as much. But this Master System version is hot garbage. It is just...
It's bad.
Oh,
Had you played this growing up at all? Or
no,
no, just recently?
No.
Okay.
No, it wasn't, to my knowledge, around much. I mean, I was surprised looking down the list when I was like, wow, they tried this? Of course they tried this. They tried everything.
Yeah,
they released
did.
Sonic 2 for the Master System, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
They did... Golden Axe on the freaking Master System. It's like, what? It's like,
yes, they did, but it's generous calling that Golden Axe. Like, it's generous that Sega was like, yeah, it's Golden Axe. Oh, see, it's golden. It's Altered Beast, guys. Really, really, it is. It's like, yeah, okay, you can say that all you want.
Who are you
but
fooling?
These are terrible.
Oh, this is just... I mean, I'd play it just to say you'd done it. If you could do a lap, I'd be impressed.
What I find interesting, and we'll get to this, I'm not going to go too deep into it, because we're going to get into the Game Gear version, I think, next episode.
Yeah.
But it's kind of shocking, like, how much better it is.
Yeah, it works. You can go round the track.
Right. And we won't get too much into it now, but it is...
No.
It's stupid because it's basically the same game. That's what infuriated me about
but
the game.
It works.
It works. So why the Master System doesn't, I don't know. But anyway,
it's like they forgot it was a racing game. It's trying to be a simulator. It's just the way. It gave me so many options. And me and my boy, we've been playing so much Gran Turismo lately, and we've been like dialing in our setups on time trials and things. And I turn this on, it's like, you can pick your tyres, you can pick your engine, you can pick your downforce, you can pick your rear wing, you can pick your... It's like, oh, wow. And it's like, why? Why did I get myself so excited? Remember what console you're playing here, Sam. This is not going to end well. Like, come on.
Remember what console, remember the developer, how they like to overextend themselves, and yeah, they just Sega just blew it. We're very close to delving into Game Gear.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this on the Game Gear episode. I'm going to actually, you know what? I'm going to remember this point, but I'm going to save it. I'm not going to say it here.
Okay, I will remind you.
Stay tuned for the Game Gear episode,
yeah,
because there's something I want to mention about the Game Gear and its relation to the Master System that blows me away. So it blows me away.
Okay.
So next time.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's get on to that with our last game today then. Now, this is it's weird we're getting like a lot of this NES crossover stuff, which I'd love you to explain after my Super Mario GP rant. We're going to let Dylan talk a little bit more This is one of those games, like, as I said, when I was really getting into retro games, like nearly 2 decades ago, was like, oh yeah, there's this weird version of Bubble Bobble. I think that's what this was related to on the Genesis. It's like a prequel, and it's like, it doesn't exist, don't talk crap. This is Rainbow Islands Extra.
Extra.
Take it away, Dylan.
Yeah, so Rainbow Islands, for some reason, and I mean that as much as I can possibly say, is some reason marketed as a sequel to Bubble Bobble.
A sequel, not a prequel.
Yeah, but
right.
If you like Bubble Bobble, there's a good chance you're not going to like this. I don't really care for Bubble Bobble.
Hang on a minute.
I actually really like this.
Isn't there a Bubble Bobble 2?
Yes, much later than this.
Oh,
Bubble
really?
Bobble 2 came out in 93 on the NES.
Whoa.
And looks really nice, but it's the same basic idea as the original.
Okay, carry on. Sorry. I just thought, hang on, there is, but yeah, I was right. Okay.
Yeah, so in this game, instead of using your bubble powers to capture enemies and defeat them all and then move on to the next stage, here you use rainbows as platforms to ascend to the stage to the end of the level. And at first that just seems like that's all you're doing, but actually, to beat the game in full, you have to kill enemies in a certain way with your rainbows.
Yeah.
And if you kill them in certain parts of the stage, you can collect, I want to say it's gems?
Yes.
You collect gems, and collecting it's diamonds. That's what it is. I'm like, I knew it was a gem. It's a diamond. Yeah. So 7 diamonds of different colors, like the chaos symbols or something.
Ooh,
and
plagiarism.
You collect them all throughout each stage. But again, the only way you can do this is by killing enemies, and they have to die in a certain part of the stage. It's very strange.
Yeah.
And then you beat the boss, and the boss drops a giant diamond, and then once you gather all the 7 giant diamonds, 3 hidden islands will unlock.
Ooh.
So, but if you don't know this, it doesn't matter. Because essentially it's a weird... The game, will you agree with me, Sam? I don't know if you like the game or not, but will you agree with me? This game has a very surreal, vibe.
Man. But I don't like the game, but I do like the vibe. I kind of love the weird vibe that this game has. It's very much like, is it Mylon's Secret Castle? Has a similar sort of vibe.
That's
Ghouls and Ghosts, kind of. Not Ghouls and Ghosts, whatever the NES one is. It might be. Yeah, see, it always mix me up those things there. Ghosts and Goblins, that's the NES one. They have this weird, there's a game going on here, but it's like another game that we're not going to tell you about.
Right.
But is actually the real game, and it's kind of freaky. And it's kind of cool if the guy you're playing as, because you don't play as a dinosaur in this, you play as a guy on the wall.
Oh, that's another thing.
That's why I thought it was a prequel, because it's like, this is what happened to him before he turned into a dinosaur.
Right.
The guy's a dweeb.
Well, he's like a pudgy kid. I mean, he's not really even a hero. He's just he's a little child, and these are the 2 kids in this game, because I guess they play 2.
That's right.
They are the dinosaurs. I mean, they turn into the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
The extra in the game's title, Rainbow Islands Extra.
Right.
It comes with an extra mode, which was not in a lot of the other ports of this game. And like some of the other titles we've talked about in the past, this game got ports everywhere.
Oh, everywhere.
But in the extra mode in this, it rearranges the stage's enemies and bosses. That's all it does.
Yeah.
It's not really that. It's not really that interesting.
Yeah.
I find with this game is that it starts off very cutesy and then it gets kind of like dark.
They all
the
do
further
that.
you go.
These kind of games do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a very strange and surreal game, and I like it, and I think unlike Strider, which I don't know how I'd feel about it today, I think I could play Rainbow Islands today and still enjoy it.
Yeah.
It is just, it's so weird, but yet there's an addictive quality for me in making the rainbows. And if I really wanted to go all in, trying to kill the enemies in the different parts of the screen to get the gems, and then that's an interesting bit of replay value. And I will say, it's not as hard as it makes it sound really hard and almost stupid. It's not that hard. It's just, you have to know, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this now, and you have to accomplish that. But it's not, again, you don't have to do that. You could beat the game without doing anything.
It is quite technical on how it gives you many different ways to accomplish a objective.
Right.
It's just quite interesting. There isn't one way to get to the end of the stage. You know, you can use in your rainbows, which, like you say, you can use them to destroy enemies and use them as platforms. There are various different ways you can make your way up the stage using the rainbows, which is interesting. It gives you a bit of variance. Like, I died that time going that way. Maybe I'll go left this time and try and jump on a rainbow, then jump on a platform, rather than just trying to make it for that platform straight away. There's some nice variation in there. I just, yeah, I didn't grow up with. This is a very NES game to me.
It is. You're right.
And I didn't grow up with them. And I don't like playing as dweebs. I like being a hero. So I could get into this. If I'd had this game back in the day, I'm pretty sure I'd have adored it. Because I like being able to tackle things in different ways. There was also
It's a shame. It never came out beyond Japan, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
This version, it's far and away the closest to the arcade version that I've ever seen. And the only reason I can think of that it didn't make it over to the States is that Sega of America was trying to kind of avoid the cutesy games that Nintendo was more known for. But again, like I've said, this game does take a dark turn about halfway through, and I mean, again, the marketing doesn't make it look like that, though. It makes it look very childlike, and so maybe they just passed. But it's a shame to me.
I've just discovered something.
What's that?
So I was just about to say, there's a Master System version of this game, which did come out in the UK.
It did.
Now, on the box, it says Rainbow Islands, so it's not extra in the Master System version. But then it says Story of the Bubble Bobble 2.
Yeah.
Now, I swear that Bubble Bobble 2 did not come out in the UK.
You mean the one we got?
No, I don't
For the
think
NES?
I don't think it came out at all.
Are you talking this one, Rainbow Islands?
No,
Or...
Bubble Bobble 2 did not come out in.
Okay,
the UK.
that I believe. Yeah, I believe that.
And if it did, it was on a different platform.
I think Bubble Bobble 2 might have been an NES exclusive. Don't quote me on that. And the fact that the NES was a non-entity in the UK, it wouldn't surprise me if it just never came out anywhere beyond the UK. Even like games like DuckTales 2, like all those like late era NES titles, I don't even know if Japan got them.
It didn't come out in the UK.
Yeah.
So why did we get this game? Because
is this like a Wonder Boy thing?
No, because
Like
because
Wonder Boy naming thing?
the Master System version only came out in the UK.
Correct. Yeah.
But we didn't. But we didn't get the game it's based on. You did.
You got your Bubble Bobble too.
No, we didn't get our Bubble Bobble 2 at all. We didn't get one at all. Bubble Bobble 2 came out in Japan and North America.
Oh, it did come out in Japan. Okay.
That's weird.
It's like Monster World and Wonder Boy and all those like weird naming. It's like they just didn't take naming a game
But
seriously.
the weirdest thing
for a while.
is, they made this box art specifically for this version with a reference to a game that didn't come out in the country that the box art was designed for.
It was to lure in unsuspecting kids who actually knew what Bubble Bobble was. And they're like, "Oh boy."
Oh, all two of them?
Sure. Yeah.
Weird.
I don't know. It is weird.
Weird. Right. Comments. Good review from GH. Never realised Rainbow Island had so much depth. Always prefer Bubble Bobble myself, as Rainbow Island gets fiendishly difficult. I thought that was a weird word. E.T. This is a fun game that I had no idea even existed. Neither did I. Never saw it in the arcade. Yeah, there was arcade versions. There was arcade versions everywhere. Brett Brown. It seems that Taito of America really thought the American Genesis owners were going to go for the cutesy games. At least that would explain why we never got games like this or New Zealand Story. Yeah, it's very New Zealand Story. In style. Not obviously
In style,
in gameplay.
yeah.
I like the style. The style's cool. This game like really epitomizes why this is interesting to do and to talk about, because you just like bounce things off each other, and it's like, oh yeah, this is a reference to this, which is actually to this. It was made by these guys, but it didn't come out here. But then it's just, it is very nerdy, but it's very fascinating in just looking at how business was run back then.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just crazy. Anyway, the business was changing back then. In our next episode, we will discuss how, when we talk about Sega doing what they do best, and what does Sega do better than anybody else in the world, Dylan?
They release new systems.
Yes, they do! And we're
Yeah.
going to be talking about the Game Gear.
Finally, man. We're moving on to whatever. I don't know. We're moving on to another Sega system. So that's pretty neat.
Another thing that Sega liked to do is copy Nintendo.
Very much, yes.
Whether they succeeded or not, we will find out next time. So until then,
Indeed.
Sega.
Sega.